Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here then hi, my name is Miss Paris, and on my channel you can find tips, advice and information all about teaching, as well as following along with my own personal journey. I did make this a little bit brighter because it's 7:15 and I'm aware it might be a little too bright, so I'm going to tone it down a little bit. But yes, it is currently 7:45 p.m. And I'm recording this. So it's been a busy first, well, nearly 2 weeks. It's Wednesday on the second week, whatever day that is. But yes, it's been busy, it's been full on, lots to take in, lots of information to do, lots to prep. So as you can imagine, I have been fairly quiet here. However, this video is going to be short and sweet because I'm aware that, you know, sometimes it's hard to take in lots of information at this time of year. So with the help of Jeff Pedley, who actually has created this thread on Twitter, and I asked him if I could share some of these tips because I thought it's great to have other people's insights, other people's experiences on my channel as well. He's kindly said yes, so I'm going to share with you some 20 quick snappy tips that you can implement in your classroom, in your practice, in your school, and of course do check him out. I will leave his Twitter handle below, and he is also the host on the Late Late Show on Teachers Talk Radios, so I will leave those details below as well. So his tips are quite general teaching tips. He is in his 13th year of teaching, so I thought he would be a good source of knowledge to share with you all. So tip number one, and I'm actually going to directly quote him on this because I really loved his wording of it. You can emulate people's practice but not their personality. So it's basically saying that although you can observe people, especially, you know, you did so much of that in your teacher training year if you're an ECT, you can observe them, you can get to know their teaching style, but you can't copy because you have your own personality. And when you first come in September, you are a new teacher to those pupils, and it's really that time to show off your personality and find your way of doing things. You can take inspiration from people, you can magpie, but yes, find your own style and really show you off to the pupils, and let them get to know your personality. Tip number two, don't blame yourself if things go wrong. This one is self-explanatory. You're going to have good lessons, you're going to have hard lessons. If a child ends up, you know, becoming very heightened and things go off plan, it happens. It's not always down to you. Reflect on it, think about what you're going to change next time, and just move on. It's normal, it happens. Tip number three, teaching is seasonal. There are some terms that are harder than others, naturally. There are some that seem to kind of trudge? What is that word? Oh my gosh, I'm too tired. There are some that kind of just seem longer than others. There are some that might be tougher than others. There are some where the children are more tired and they need a longer break. That is also okay, and that might, you know, mean you need to spice things up a little bit, make things more engaging. It might mean that you need to adapt your teaching slightly, but teaching is seasonal and this is normal. Tip number four, it's okay to say no a lot. It's very easy to want to impress people and say yes all the time and seize any opportunity that comes your way, but do know your limits. Do consider your work-life balance, do consider your well-being. You're not going to get fired if you say no to doing something, and it's really important to set those boundaries in place because otherwise you can take everything on that's thrown at you and it's difficult to balance. Tip number five, and this is a really important one, so I'm so glad that Jeff put that in here, is to separate the child from the behaviour. You are reacting to the behaviour, you are observing the behaviour, you are analysing and finding solutions for the behaviour. There is nothing wrong with the child, you are not judging the child, you are not reacting to the child, you are not trying to find a way to solve the child. You know, they are two very, very different things, so do remember that. If sometimes you have to take a step back, calm yourself down before you react to the situation that is at hand, then so be it, but they are separate things. Tip number six is ask around, look around before you make your own resources. This is the tip that is continuously kind of told again and again. Do try and adapt and recycle old resources. It will save you time and it will save you energy, and ultimately you want the teaching to come from you. It's not always about PowerPoint slides. Tip number seven, bring your own interest to the classroom. I personally love this. Every class that I've taught has always been very into music because it's my thing. I love singing. I also kind of love MFL, and depending on the age range you can always incorporate a little language here and there, whether it's just doing the register and saying like bonjour, or, you know, little things like that. I really like it. It kind of, I don't know, makes me happy, and it makes the children excited to see me excited, and also I love kind of their smile on their faces when I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing, and then, you know, they're beaming. Tip number 8, focus on the positives. On those bad days when you feel tired, focus on those positives. Not going to talk any more about that because everyone's positives looks different, but just focus on those, especially when, you know, you have those days where you want to scream into a pillow. We'll just put it that way. Tip number 9, if you do set homework, schedule it to come in and to go out the same time every week for that consistency. It also helps parents know expectations. So, oh, I'm gonna get homework this day, oh, I need to give it back that day. Especially when it's for children that are slightly younger and do rely on parents remembering, parents maybe sitting down and doing it with them. It helps, you know, the flow of things, the routine, the structure, it's all good. Tip number 10, we're nearly halfway there. If you're still here, then well done. Tip number 10, try and block time to do your planning and marking. So obviously you have your PPA time, but in your free time, when you have to mark and plan at home, for example, block it out and almost, Jeff says, to treat it like a lesson. So think, block 30 minutes out and say, I'm going to mark the English books in 90 minutes. I'm going to mark year 9 maths homework for 30 minutes, and really be strict with yourself. I know that when I get home, I kind of slump. My energy drops significantly, but if you've got lots to do and you've got a huge achievement list to get through, then that is a really good way of time managing and keeping yourself to account. Tip number 11, always have seating plans and stick to them. I've already made some changes in my seating plan personally based on, you know, children that are chatting together or not working well together, but then they always come in and they know where they are sitting, and it's a little bit like even lining up. I get them to line up in register order and they continuously ask me, are we in register order? I'm like, yes, that is part of the routine, that is part of the structure. Unless I say line up in whatever line you want, it would just be chaos. They wouldn't know where to stand, they would argue, this person would go in front of this person, they'll chat. Just keep structure. I mean, children, they feel like it can be restricting, but they really do need it. So just stick to them because it keeps that consistency for the children. Tip number 12, always follow through on your promises. You don't know how much that promise might have meant to somebody. If it's like, I'll come and check up on you in 2 minutes, do check up on them in 2 minutes. Sometimes things happen and you might forget, but then always do try and chase it up afterwards, because you don't know, a little fragment like that could ruin the relationship that you've built with a child, or it might have been the one thing that they were looking forward to all day. Tip number, I think 14, I'm gonna read, this is another one that I'm gonna read out because I like the wording and obviously I think it's an interesting one. Tip number 14, respect your manager's comments, but they are not gospel. A difficult thing as an ECT, but remember that demands can be challenged in a respectful way. They'll be looking at the bigger picture, but a greater manager will work with you to navigate difficult solutions. Tip number 15, you don't have to be best friends with your colleagues, but do be respectful, because it depends on your school, but if you're in a really kind of challenging school, the teamwork, the people around you are what keeps you going. You have each other's backs, you can ask for favours, you can receive favours. It's a really important teamwork, and I think it's a bit like teaching assistants or support staff and the teachers. Their relationship needs to be very sturdy. If you're not respectful, then, you know, you ask them to do something, they may be reluctant to do so, or vice versa, or, you know, it just, you don't want to create issues in the workplace. Schools rely on teamwork, they rely on helping each other out, and if you have an awkward relationship or you don't get on, it's just another thing that's difficult, and I just avoid that, guys. Avoid that. Just be respectful, just be polite, just be kind. It costs nothing. Tip number 16, it's okay to leave on time. Remember your work-life balance. There might be a pressure to stay on if your team teacher is, but you are not defined by how good you are as a teacher by just staying on for longer. Like, that's not how it's measured. You don't know that a lot of people might go at 4, but then they might do work at home. So, you know, you don't have to stay till the last second before the school closes to get the job done or to be a good teacher. The next tip is to look after your basic needs. Make sure you go to the loo, make sure you eat, make sure you drink enough. I personally, I don't drink much anyway, even outside of the school settings, but you know, when you're talking all day, when you're in a hot classroom, it is really important, and sometimes I do have to remind myself, you know, go to the loo, you've got the opportunity, go, go, go. So just make sure that you are meeting your basic needs. I like this one. Tip 18, don't leave photocopying until the morning of the day. Yes, this is what I said in my last video. On your first day, first week, you want to try and print the night before so that you avoid this queue at the photocopier in the morning, because then paper runs out, or you know, there's a jam, or you've got briefing, or you know, you've got something else to do, or there's always something that comes up, and you don't want to suddenly be in a panic and be like, my printer is literally there, but I can't get to it, and the children are now here. Sorry, my camera cut out because I was talking too long. Number 19, don't let the students speak over you. That's really important, because the moment they do, there's that kind of distortion in the authority, and then it kind of means that, oh, well, you let me the other day, or you know, everyone else was, so why can't I? But it's really, really important for them not to do so. If you have to wait and, you know, you have a few minutes of silence, it feels awkward, but it is actually okay, because you're showing that you're waiting and you are more than happy to listen to them, but you are going to wait for everyone to be quiet. You're going to ask for hands up. You're going to remind them of expectations, to be respectful, to listen to your peers, and then also to remind them that, you know, you are there to help them. If they shout out and they've got lots of ideas, you know, the ideas part is fine. We're more than happy to share, more than happy to listen, but you are there to structure the lesson. You are there to provide them with the content that they are learning. So it's really important that they listen to you, and that you actually stick to your guns and say, no, I'm not going to go any further. I'm going to wait. And sometimes this is difficult with the pressures of the timetable and keeping to schedule, but it is important to make those behaviour expectations clear. And the last one, which I think links nicely to incorporating your interest within the classroom and showing, you know, yourself off to the classroom, embracing your teaching personality, is to just enjoy. I have to say, so far I am enjoying my class a lot. Like, it's difficult because sometimes when you've been asked to do loads of different things, it can seem like you're going to run around like a headless chicken, but I'm really enjoying it, and so far, yeah, I'm really happy, and I'm finding myself, you know, getting back into the spirit of teaching and finding that enjoyment which I had probably lost a fair bit last term. So far so good. Yes, if you enjoy that, please give it a thumbs up. Comment below your favourite tips, or if you have any others to share with teachers out there. Don't forget to subscribe for future related content, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye!